there is a lot of talk around this new event. It's been going for several days now. Obviously not long enough for us to know particularly if it's a success or not, but I am interested in people's feedback on it. A lot of what I've seen on Reddit has actually been positive. A lot of people are very excited about the ability to work together in teams. Obviously, there's still plenty of criticism about, like we're seeing in chat, stability of cargo elevators, the ability to load certain ships, or even just the missions themselves being a bit boring. So if you guys do want to come on and have a little chat, you don't have to come on your camera. You can just hop in voice. We have a voice room open in the Discord right now. Anybody can hop in it, drag you up into the room, and then we can have a chat about how this whole event is going.
I just wasn't excited by it, and it was like I said, it was copy paste of other missions, and I do hope that I was kind of hoping that we would have something similar to the resource drive, where there might be a story proponent to it, where if something were to happen, like if Levski didn't get the air cleared, then maybe something would happen with Levski, or maybe there'd be an ongoing effect with Levski. When
you jump into these events, are you joining mainly for the event itself, like the gameplay, or are you looking for the rewards?
I'm 100% looking for the rewards.
So did you feel like the rewards for this one were worth it?
I do like the skins, the armor. The armor I could have taken or left. The main reason I did it was because I really liked the look of the Perseus skin. And I did like the fact that we kind of get a painted fabricator for future use, like a little, like it's a kind of little homage to doing this event.
Yeah.
Or, so it was,
and it means crafting's coming soon, right?
yeah, soon TM. But yeah, the rewards were good. I thought the rewards were kind of cool. I do dabble in machinima in Star Citizen, so the clothing I thought was really cool looking. So for stuff like that, I was excited for. I do hope that one day we'll have a reason to wear clothes versus wearing armor.
But you feel like it's not, it wasn't enough to justify jumping into the event yet. Like there should have been more to the event for these kinds of rewards.
For these kinds of rewards, I think the event is fine because of how easy it is to complete. That's my main takeaway from this. If you're trying to complete these events, as soon as you join a server or if you join on a friend, just ask in global, like, is there a group doing the event? Or if there's not, try to get one started, because the more people you got going, the faster it is to complete. If someone's trying to do this solo or just doing it with a couple people, it would not be worth it. Like the time to do this would not be worth it.
That's a bit of a problem though, right? If this is too easy for groups, but it's not worth it for solos, then it seems like there's something wrong, because a big complaint a lot of people have is that nothing in this game is made for solos. So if they start balancing the effort to put into these events around the idea that everyone's just jumping into groups to do it, that could skew the way the events are being made.
No, I agree with that. I didn't even think about that, because solo, like I tend to play with other players. I don't solo too much. I'll do combat solo. So that's a point I didn't even consider. Is this was definitely an event that catered towards large groups, or even not even just large groups, but just getting people to work to farm the missions together. Because I was not a part of, when I was doing the event, I was not a part of any other group. I was by myself, and I was just accepting missions and getting the rewards for that. So I think that might also come down to maybe the mission system as well, as maybe we need to, or maybe the missions need to be catered a little bit more, either to group play to get the rewards, or when it comes to solos, like that's kind of like I think the group play should have been, the point should have been split, because they just got done way too fast. But then you have, the large SCU missions. You get a couple people doing that, 3 or 4. You can load up stuff really fast, and then you get those points. Whereas if a solo's doing it, then it's not. Then that's going to take forever.
Yeah.
So,
but that's kind of that's sort of how it's made to work, right? I think the problem that we're running into here is the event's running for another 50 days. It's only been about 5 days so far, but people are completing it in groups really quickly. And the last time they did an event like this where they split the points, I think there was a problem in that resource rush didn't work consistently. But people were complaining that it was taking too long when it took them 4 or 5 weeks to do it. So it almost feels like even if there's an event that's kind of balanced so that it takes you 6 weeks to do it, people start to get antsy after the first week that they're not completing things. Like, we need to train ourselves to get used to actually taking time to do these things again.
It's definitely something. Yeah, CIG needs to find the middle ground with that, because with the collection stuff, I don't know what their plan is for the economy, but for the collection missions, when the patch first released, I was lucky enough to be a part of a group that had bought out most of the inventory as soon as the patch went live. And so I got the collection mission done really fast because I was in the right place, right time. And now that the inventories are gone, people are mining. So now the collection stuff is kind of starting to, I think out of all the missions, the collections ones kind of make the most sense if you take the inventories. If you were to take the inventory stuff out, like people having to go and mine and refine, that timeline probably looks more of what CIG is wanting it to look like, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. Because once the patch goes live and people can buy up what you can buy, then those other players who got in late, then they have to resort to mining. Mm-hmm. But maybe for future events like this, maybe the patches start out with low inventory. That way people can't just complete it if they just got lucky to get there.
Yeah.
As far as the lore, I mean, you could say that as far as lore goes, you can say like NPCs or the universe itself is trying to help out. So there's already an inventory risk instead of starting out with normal inventory and then it goes down.
Yeah. Whenever this can actually have some kind of effect or even be affected by the supply and demand of the actual game, it'd be cool to see how they could change the way it works.
I think events like this will start getting better when we start having, like, when things aren't changing radically between patches. Mm-hmm. So when CIG puts a patch out and it doesn't just reset everything, things that were going on before the patch came out can continue on.
Yeah.
But then I don't know how that's going to look, because you do have the data miners and the people who are playing in the PTU who already know what inventory you need for the event. So if you're able to buy up inventory before the event goes live, but I know CIG, I think CIG's kind of got a catch-22 there, where it's like they can't hide the event before the patch goes live, but they need to test the event. But I hope, in the future, events will be more player driven. That's kind of what I'm waiting for, is these kind of events happening, or they just kind of happen instead of we know about it ahead of time.
Yeah. I think we're getting pretty close to that. I think really social tools and better persistence. Like, we have the ability to do that now. It's just that nobody wants to, because you could put 10 hours of effort into something and then it all gets lost in a second because some glitch or crash or something.
Mm-hmm. Or CIG has announced that we're gonna have a wipe soon. So I know a lot of people have kind of stopped grinding. Or
they haven't announced anything. They haven't announced anything about a wipe.
Well, not a wipe is coming up, but like the economy team said that a wipe will happen down the road at some point. Yeah. We don't know when that's going to happen, but I know they've said that once they get all the economy stuff figured out, then they'll. Sorry, but that's going off a different topic instead of the event, so I apologize.
No, that's fine. I mean, we're here to talk wherever it goes. But yeah, I think a lot of people, whether they have realistic fears of a wipe or just kind of boogeymanning it, people people will have reasons not to put a lot of effort into stuff right now. And well, as the game gets more stable, I think that goes away a little bit more every time.
Yeah, but the rewards do help. Like that I know I do feel bad for players who are wanting the rewards, but now like I got really lucky that the patch just happened to go live as soon as I got home, and so I updated and got in. And I know some players, you know, you got players who are still at work, and they you need to, now they have to grind or you know, you've got people who have to mine. I don't know if other people have had issues with ships like the Mole. I don't know if that's going on with it. Once we switched to the Prospector, it was fine. But as far as for this event, I do think that the time to play for progress has been a lot better than other patches, because I think I don't have the exact numbers, but I know it's like you know, it's 100 points or 150 points for like one combat mission, and then you got a few people doing that together, then you progress pretty fast. I think the only issue I had was when you turn in missions, especially for collections. I felt that the amount of SCU per points was kind of weird, because I think people were starting to just turn in the smallest one, because that gave you more points per SCU of cargo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the point system is going to need some balance. They're going to need to definitely go back and look at how things are going to progress. But honestly, as far as the earning rate goes, I think that's going to probably be something we can comment on better when the event actually ends, because we're just still so early in it.
Yeah, and then I don't know what other people's experience of it has been. I know several people, like people in my friend group, who have finished it. They're done with it now. And yeah, it's been just over, like, not even a week.
Yeah,
Patch came out.
It's been getting
Wednesday?
finished pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Sniping Kiwi,
Yeah.
thank you so much for talking, dude. I appreciate your feedback on the event. I hope, well, I guess you've already finished it, so you got other things that you can go do now. But I hope you get some good fun times out of 4.6 going forward, dude. Next up, we've got Hollinger in here to talk about, what did you get to do with this event, Clearing the Air? Did you run cargo? Did you do some mining collection? Are you already finished with it?
I've only had a couple hours yesterday with the event, and I mean, so far so good. I think right now it's pretty easy for everybody to share missions and get in groups. I see that happening a lot in global, and so far I think maybe the middle ground between what you guys were discussing was making it so that when you guys share missions, you only get a percentage of the points instead of all of the points, because it kind of seems like that's what's going on here. Because I think the last event, I didn't play that one, but I think the points or sharing the missions was disabled.
Yeah, well, the problem that people get a lot with any of the missions in the game really is that, like, when you run it as a group, you end up getting a very small fraction of the reward, and so people say it's not worth it to run it as a group, and everyone runs it solo. And so once you get into that idea of splitting points, people start to, balance whether it's worth it. It's always about, how do I finish it fastest, rather than having the most fun for a lot of folks, I think, and that's where we run into the problem.
Yeah, it seems hard to balance that when you're working with the tools that you have from CIG's perspective to try and continue engagement and content.
Very unfinished game.
Yeah. I think the feedback largely from everyone seems to be, at least something that everyone could agree on, is social tools would have been very helpful here.
Yes. God, yes. I think that's the biggest. It's already obvious, but this just made it so much more.
Yeah, and I'm in the same exact camp as you and Paul. That uh, the announcements and the loading screens for the Aceto communications, that's definitely just talking about social tools.
Yeah, hopefully that's like next month kind of thing. Man, I really hope so. At the very least, just like better categorization for text chat and better support for voice chat would go so far. How are you doing on the event so far? You said you started it just yesterday and had a few hours. Is it how far have you gotten? Any rewards, any unlocks so far? Or are you kind of setting yourself on a pace for months?
Yeah, playing solo mostly. I haven't really grouped up with many people. I did one mission with randoms from global chat. Helped a guy unload a Hermes. Great looking ship. And then after that, I did a couple of the defense missions, and then one more hauling mission. And then I joined a group in global where everyone was sharing the missions. And I think I got about a third of the way with all the goals yesterday.
Okay. So how do you feel about doing it when you were doing it solo? Did it feel too much like a grind? Were you bored? Were you getting enjoyment out of it, or was it once you got into the group you didn't really want to go back?
I personally, I have a lot more fun playing together with other people. I think the best moments you can have in this game by far, and what truly make it shine, are having just mundane moments like unloading cargo with completely random people.
Yeah.
Because it makes you feel a sense of the scale of the game itself, and enjoying that with other people, I think, is the best fun that you can have in the game. So,
Especially when they weren't like from your original group. It's really nice to make new friends doing this stuff.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've made tons of friends all the time. Just people hop on and play games with every now and again. Uh, yeah, I think the most engaging moments are definitely the most fun in the game. I spent, well, last year towards the start of the year, I bought myself a 890 jump skin, the first one, the black one, and I didn't have the ship at all, but I set the goal to only trade players with items I've looted for money to get an 8090 jump. And I got one towards the end of the year, before the economy got real bloated, and that was pretty nice. And then I think a week after that, I made 4 billion selling a couple of passkey discs, and I bought 6 more of them.
All player trading?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's nice. People say that exploration doesn't exist, but like all you would need to do is be able to save a marker and tell them where they could go to get that stuff, and you've got the game loop right there.
oh, absolutely. Going out and prospecting and finding. I mean, you see people doing that uh, every now and again. You'll look and you can find it in local chat every now and again. Somebody can sell the location of, like, hey, I've got a Quantanium rock I definitely can't crack. Here's the location if you want to buy it.
Love that. Just wish it was easier.
Exactly.
What did you think of the?
I wish there was some place in game where you could post these things.
Yeah, seriously. What do you think of the Hermes?
I think it's pretty good. I think it's definitely a copy, and should definitely share the skins.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's gonna be a pain point of this ship for a while. It's gonna make the Apollo look really bad, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, but I think overall it definitely stands out on its own as a hauling ship. I really liked it. I think with 2 people playing in a ship like that, it's a nice ride, and I think it stands out as its own as a hauling ship. And the medical variant, not the separate ship, but the medical variant stands out on its own as well. I think they did a good job with this one.
Yeah, you like the Apollo?
Yeah, I'm a fan of medical gameplay. Every now and again, I mostly do hauling and looting.
Are you disappointed that this didn't end up being some kind of a medical event?
A little bit. I mean, it seems medical themed. It's definitely first responder,
Yeah.
uh, uh, UN health themed.
I was very hopeful that there would be, I don't know, it would have been nice if there was at least some kind of like rescue NPC missions from somewhere. I guess there's no ground locations in Nyx, but like it would have been cool if there was a little bit more of just that extra element to this one.
Yeah, like interacting with the AI. Actually, I think we'll see a lot more of that towards when they get the fleet. What was it the fleet combat in
Hmm.
towards the half of the year? I noticed part of that mission was extracting a VIP, and
Yeah.
I don't know if that means the ship is just going to go into a hangar and it'll close and then magically come out with an NPC, or if it means you're actually going to go pick up that NPC and take it somewhere.
They were very light on the detail there. They just kind of they were like, and then you'll bring a drop ship in to pick up the people trying to leave. And everybody paused for a second. They're like, wait, what? And then they moved on
Yeah.
before we got to ask. Yeah, I do wonder what that means. And what about coming up? How you feeling about 4.7's possibilities?
I think definitely don't trust the release view. Uh, there's definitely not all the cards on the table here, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna get the first implementation of the new inventory.
Do you think that'll
Uh,
come with crafting?
I think it'll come with a test of crafting. I think there's gonna be one more Evo of crafting, and then they're gonna push it to PTU.
Okay. So we're also saying that with these loading screen leaks, usually those leaks are hinting at things within the next like 2 or 3 updates, at least if not being put into the game, at least shared by the company. So like the terraforming thing ended up being that Nyx one was coming in. The missions all ended up being the future content. So this stuff with the communications array that they're setting up is likely something that we'll see in some way in February or March as well. So we're talking about whatever that might be. The possibility of inventory, the rock cracker stuff is coming in 4.7, and potentially another test of crafting all in like 2 months.
Yeah, absolutely. They're kicking it off this year, and you can tell that despite, a cutback on the amount of patches per year, I think that they're still definitely hitting a stride. And I think it was started last year. I think a lot of people discount that quite a lot of development, despite still being focused on Squadron 42, a lot of development previously, I think in 2024 it was shifted from Squadron development over to Star Citizen. So that whole transition period was an onboarding task for a lot of these people. And I think it's evident seeing that they've done a lot of work in the background to prepare for gameplay like this, large feature implementations. We saw it with engineering straight at the end of the year and Nyx, which I think was a welcome surprise to a lot of people, despite being, kind of empty. We're going home.
It was nice to go back to Levski. I like that place. The music, oh god, the new music is so good.
Yeah, absolutely killer on the music, as well as the jump tunnel music. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wish that was actually well timed. It's always off. Just a few seconds. So, where do you put this event compared to everything else that you've done? I don't know how long you've been playing Star Citizen and what dynamic events maybe you've seen, but how does this one rank for you?
I've been here since the start of the PU.
Okay.
I've been following the project ever since its start, but I've actually started in 2017. I think overall for the event, I'd put it up there, maybe an 8. Definitely not the best, but I think that they're working with what they have right now, and you can see the mission design evolving every time they put content in the game, every time the mission team gets a chance to show what they're working with, what they can do.
Yeah, I think they're getting better. I think it's definitely incremental, and they make mistakes and missteps here and there. But given the limited amount of resources they have right now, I think they are getting incrementally better at getting these missions into the game, getting regular contracts into the game, but also doing these more narrative timed things.
Yeah, I think you can see it in some of the mission design, like now that we've got some of the modular missions in for the new mission system, like the defense or escorting a very slow, for some reason, ship that's going like 100 meters a second, escorting it all to the hangar, and you can see that they want to evolve the gameplay there. The features just aren't there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Hellingar, thank you so much for joining me today for the talk. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on this event and the game so far. Appreciate you, man. I hope you enjoy the rest of it. Now, we got Shifty in here, a longtime member of the community, a friend of the garden, a proper Toes gang. Welcome in, dude. How are you doing?
Hey, Tomato. I'm doing fine.
How are you enjoying the new event so far, Clearing the Air?
Well, I enjoyed it with the org. Hashtag join GII.
Hashtag join GII, Tyrus.
Yeah, we basically blasted through the entire event in like one session.
Yeah.
Was a lot
Did
of
you have fun?
But the missions were kinda basic still. So I did the defend missions during the event, and it was just your basic defend mission. You join, you jump in, you rush to the caterpillar. There's 2 or 3 fighters harassing it. You clear that wave. 2 medium ships jump in, and after that 2 large ships like Carrack and Reclaimer. For
Very
some
predictable.
reason. Yeah, and that's it. Like, that's just your standard defend mission, and I would really like to see more flavor to those.
So, do you think that maybe is it more like change the game environment and the variables, or is it introduce different types of contracts? If you had to choose one way to fix that problem.
I'd really like to see different kind of contracts.
Any particular interesting ones that you had in mind?
During Overdrive, we had like one type of mission where you had to hack or counter hack a satellite, and at the same time, while you did that, there were ships jumping in that were disrupting your hack, and you had to kill them while also counter hacking the satellite. So splitting up the group into 2 different subgroups, doing different tasks within the mission. That would also further team play and basically enable group play while also limiting like your solo players sort of for these higher missions.
Yeah.
So that you can't really jump in and do these missions solo. Then you have an actual group play there. And for this, you could maybe have a boarding party that's hostile on the caterpillar that you need to basically push out with an assault team, and then also have a ship defend team that's fighting fighters and so on.
That's nice because it also introduces some more variables, can make it like you don't have to necessarily make a different contract. If there's enough variables, it'll happen differently anyways for different people.
Yeah, because right now it's just the caterpillar sitting still there, getting pounded.
Honestly, with the defend missions, I was like I couldn't kill the ships fast enough. I'd jump in, and the guy would be like, "Hey, I need help. They're fighting me," and then I'd still be like 2 kilometers out, so I'd fly all the way there. I'd start shooting the first person, and by the time I start shooting, this dude's blowing up and crying about it. I'm like, bro, just fly away.
Yeah, like the defend missions in general need some love.
Yeah, but you know that's also a thing. That's why I stick to tracked beams. Okay, don't put me behind ship weapons. What did you think of the other parts besides the defend missions?
Well, I only did the transport mission, and I have a Zeus CL. And there's no mission that's basically above 8 SCU that ship can take. Like the next largest mission, as someone already said, is like 250. That's too much for a raft. So you either stuck with like super low volume delivery missions, or you get an entirely different class of ship. There's like nothing for the medium-sized ships.
I see. Yeah, the 200 one, as Vastin pointed out, I think earlier, fit the Hermes very well, didn't it?
Yeah. But like nothing in the 100 to 200 range.
Sure.
Like
yeah.
Above that, you're already talking C2 or so.
Yeah, and I like that people were able to feel like they could group up together to do this event in huge groups, but it would have, like, this would have been a really phenomenal time. Not like there won't be others, but a really great time to test out a looking for group feature in the game. Because some people are like, I want to do the cargo hauling missions, but I've only got a cutter. It'd be nice to be able to just look up somebody else who's got, like, I don't know, let's have some fun and say somebody's got an ironclad and they're looking for crew, and you're like, well, I can just jump on their team and still do the cargo missions. But as it is right now, you don't even have to go on their ironclad and help them deliver the cargo to get the points. How do you feel about the way that the point sharing is working and the reputation sharing is working that people are pretty happy about in the event right now?
I like it. It's good that you can also do like the smaller missions and still get a decent amount of points. There's a bit of a discrepancy between effort for the larger missions and the amount of points you get for them. It's only like half the points more than for the smallest mission. That's especially noticeable when you do the collection mission, where you only need to get like 3 SCU of one commodity and snipe that from the terminal, compared to the largest where you need to deliver 70 and you only get like 2 times the points or so for that.
But doesn't that kind of make sense? Because if you don't even have to be involved in doing the mission, then they're kind of counteracting that by not giving as many points when it gets split. Or I guess technically it's not getting split now.
Yeah, so I come from an MMO background, so I play a lot of other MMOs during my time. And one of the major factors how, for example, World of Warcraft limits events and progress in those is by daily limits for these missions. If you, let's say, do a 20 mission limit for the event per day, then you can still progress that with the group at a fast pace, but you'd need to play for like 4 or 5 days in a row, maxing out those missions. And that would kind of stretch out the content a little bit. You still get the progress shared from the larger groups, benefit from that, but you can also do it solo. And that way you could maybe also increase the rewards a little bit for the larger missions.
Could you also scale it based on how many people are joining? So like, as more people are joining the group, it's not necessarily that you have to split the points between everyone, but the points that are awarded kind of decay. Or rather, not even in terms of the group, but how much you... Because you're talking about a daily limit, right? So if you get into a group and you grind the mission 20 times, it'll limit you so that you can't go and do it 40 times and like double that. Could they make it so that the amount of points you get just decay every time, so that like by the time you're doing your 20th round, you're getting 5 points as opposed to like 30 points? Does that make sense?
Sure, they could also do that. It would still enable you to play more if you want to play more, but you don't get as much progress.
Yeah. Do you think that would help with the problem that they're having with Star Citizen here?
I mean, would kind of be best of both worlds. If you see limiting progress as a good thing.
I mean, you have to limit progress in some way, right? It doesn't have to be like a hard limit. I think putting an actual cap on the amount of progress you can make in something is kind of silly, but adding in things that make it more difficult to earn is sort of a natural way of doing things, right? Like any RPG that you play, as you get higher and higher in the game, you're facing harder enemies, you're having to get more and more ingredients for recipes. You need to reach higher levels to do certain things. These are all progress gates, right? So how do you feel about the event overall compared to the other ones you run in Star Citizen?
I like it, but the theming of the event, you don't really notice it if you're not at Levski. With like the other events, such as the Regen Crisis, you at least had like people complaining inside of the hospitals, at the space stations and landing zones.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, you only see the coughing in Levski, and I think that's it, or at least that's what I noticed in the short
Dirty
time that I
Levskians.
played this patch.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Nyx itself is very just doesn't have many places for you to interact with people as it is. Guess they could have put it in the jump station at least.
Yeah, so if you're like new to the game, you don't really keep up with the news. You just log in, you barely know that there's an event going on.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, I'm okay with that. I think events could be something that's in the background. You know, if there's enough stuff going on in the game, it kind of like it shouldn't be aware to everyone unless you're looking for it. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And I hope you enjoy the rest of 4.6. Mr. Didinsky, welcome in from the stream, my dude. How have you been feeling about 4.6 so far?
It's been decent. The event is interesting. It, like other people have said, it does feel a lot like the other events. I agree with Shifty in saying that it's hard to tell the theming of the event if you're not actually in Levski. Mm-hmm. Other than, when you're walking through a spaceport and everyone's ducking and diving and trying to dodge balloon maybe? I don't know. But like the NPCs.
Yeah.
The crafts thing.
Yeah.
But other than being part of the garden, my other org that I'm part of is a police org, and it's the event itself has presented interesting opportunities for that, and in that we heard through certain ways, I can't say how, but that there was a griefer org that was planning on like basically blockading the pipeline between the Stanton Gateway and Levski to try and get the materials off of people and steal them and stuff. And so we were able to get into the same server as them and run like counter blockading and basically stop that. So it kind of led to some fun situations for our org being, trying to stop the crime. And I thought that was cool. So.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I gotta find out how you find that information. That sounds like some fun action to get in on. So you've been getting to experience it a little more organically, stopping pirates and doing more of the sandbox collection stuff. Has it hit the mark when it comes to those things? Is there something that's missing?
Well, it hit the mark as far as it's actually presented opportunities for us to do the rules that we're really shooting for. It's not necessarily something that's rewarded as part of the event, but it's something that's rewarding as far as like it's the gameplay that we're desiring. So that part is pretty cool. I joined the garden event yesterday yesterday and did a little bit of grinding in that sense and got almost all the way done. But I don't know, the grind stuff to me is just like a side thing. I do it for the rewards. That's about it. But there's not enough story there for me to be able to be like, oh yeah, this is totally worth it.
So you're more doing it for the kind of the fun then.
Yeah, the experience of playing with other people and the RP experience of with the police org doing the counter blockade stuff and stuff
cool.
like that. It's that part's been fun.
So you're not specifically like going headstrong into it trying to finish it as fast as possible, right?
Not particularly, because I have 3 kids and a lot of schedule stuff, so I don't have all the time in the world to play. So the time I do have to play, I want to be able to play with other people and not feel like I'm just all alone doing boring stuff. So
okay. So given that, what kind of progress have you made so far?
Just in the garden event alone, I actually the only thing I have left at this point is the hauling one. So, and I'm probably about 75% of the way there.
So even though you have so many things other going on in life and kind of don't feel like you have too much time to play, you've basically finished the event in one day.
Yeah, it happened really quick. And part of that, I think, was because something interesting happened when I was in the event yesterday. Was in between trying to say yes to all the notifications for mission shares, there was people in the server we were on that were just spamming invites to like everyone on the server, I think, and I accidentally accepted that and got pulled into there where there was like a couple hundred people all in one group. And so then I was like, where are you guys? I didn't realize it until they're like, you're not in our group.
Yeah.
And so that was something interesting that happened. I don't know.
That's also, I think, a risk that comes from this is, and I was talking earlier about like how while it's cool that these are 200 player groups, it's also not really that realistic for this kind of event. I'm realizing like pirates could have very easily snuck into these events and caused absolute havoc.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I didn't even mean to accept anything, but there was people just going down the list in the comlink, I think, and just inviting everybody to try and get people in.
Whew.
And so it was a constant slew of notifications of like, this person's connected, this person's disconnected, this person's connected. And so it was hard to manage.
That's crazy. So
yeah. Anyway.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so this is kind of like a long event. It's running until March 17th from January 28th. Now, obviously, some people might not hear about it until then. And for that reason, like it's good to give a 2-month window for people to jump in and kind of learn this kind of stuff. But do you feel like it's a failure that people are finishing it and not taking the whole time? Or are you more of the mindset that there should be enough time for people to join in that last week and still get it finished?
I'm of the mindset that, you know, I think it's a trial and error thing as far as settings goes for these events with SIG, and they're just trying to figure out the balance, you know, on how much is earned, how much, whether to split or not split. And so they're adjusting and adapting to like what you were saying about people complaining it's taking too long, complaining about the split. Now people are saying it's too short. So
yeah,
it's
people were freaking out in the lead up to this when they saw how many missions they'd have to complete.
Yeah. So I think it's them still trying to figure it out. And the reality is it is still an alpha. I know that's something that's often said, but they're still trying to find the balance on what the sweet spot is for these events and progress. So
yeah, it's rough because I feel the main drive for all this stuff should be people having fun, right? Like these events aren't really that, these missions we're running in these aren't that different from the normal missions we're running every day. The idea behind these events should be trying to get into the narrative and like the camaraderie, but it's turning into more of a focus on like, how much can I get done? How quickly? Is it going to take too long?
Yeah.
And it feels like it's muddying the water of what's actually making a good game versus what's making the best grind, I guess. Thank you, dude. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Colt Kimber, my man. A classic has joined us for the talk today. Welcome in, dude. How has this event been treating you?
Hey, Tomato, how's it going? No, it's been treating me well. I love this community. I gotta say it up front. Everybody who's hopped into chat so far has brought up some pretty good points. I enjoyed it. We need to remind ourselves this is still an alpha, and then CIG has to work with what they've got. But as opposed to a lot of the events so far, I do like that in this event there's more options as far as mission type, and I do appreciate that. And I probably went about this a little bit different than most. I did day one join one of the server-wide parties, and I hopped in my mole, and I soloed my mole and did some mining and refining and turning it in. And during the refine timer, I was doing some hauling in the Hermes. But overall, it's been enjoyable. I got it done probably in 2.5 days, which I don't have a problem with.
How long would you say you can usually play in a given week?
I have a very forgiving wife, so I have plenty of time to play. No, I usually during the weekends. I mean, I can grind some hours. During the week, it's obviously a little more difficult with work schedule, but I mean, on the weekend, I can easily get 5+ hours in on it
Okay.
per day on the weekend.
Okay.
but I think that not everybody is going to be happy, no matter what CIG does. I liked what you brought up about degradation of the points. I for some reason, I don't know why I was thinking this, but once they get better at doing instancing, I think that they could do instancing missions. I think that would help to limit the party sizes for events like this. It does make it a bit easy when you're in a party of 70 plus people. But I don't know. I can't see a way that CIG can work around that issue.
I think it really has got to come down to the reward structure or like, I think there's like a lot of things that feed into it. Kind of like I was saying before we started this, there's just so few things to actually consider right now for each player that the calculation of whether or not you should jump into a group with a bunch of random people to do something is there's almost no thought that goes behind it.
I mean, yeah, that's why I'm a little different. Like, I was soloing, but I was still in the big group, and it's like I feel good knowing that I'm contributing to other people's progression, because I kind of went into it thinking, there's probably the least amount of work is going to be put in towards the collection part of it, especially mining, because I think it was the first or second person you had in was talking about how all the commodities got bought up right away. So I was like, you know what? Let me grab my mole. Let me do it this way. And I haven't actually done mining in a long time. It gave me an excuse to get my mole out and get the mining juices flowing again. And again, like I had said, I get satisfaction out of knowing that I'm helping others.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe they could do something where they could have like the big open server events like this, but they could pair it with instanced missions, and you can get the same themed rewards from each, but maybe have the instance ones where it requires a little more grindy, kind of like 4 people really working hard to get them done. Maybe you get the cooler themed stuff out of those. But then of course you're gonna have people complaining, well, why do I have to do both sets of blah to get like all the way? So, no matter what they do, people are gonna complain. It's just It's how it is in development.
Well, I do like that knock-on effect that you mentioned of like everybody bought up all the commodities, so well, I'm gonna whip out my prospector. Like, yeah, everybody bought up the commodities, but you know what that does? It might allow people to finish this event, but what it should do is it makes the price of those commodities skyrocket in that system, right? So if everyone goes and buys all the commodities in Stanton to finish this event, it should make those commodities sell for much more, which makes miners go out not even caring about this event. They just see the commodity price changing and they're like, well, hey guys, let's go mine the Aaron Halo belt and turn it into this place. Suddenly there's more commodities in the system again because they're accounting for that demand. Like, but we're living in an unfinished game, so it can't even do that.
Yep, I always have to remind myself when bugs happen, I'm like, alpha, it's just an alpha. Just deep breaths.
God, I hope that's something that we can actually say when the game hits 1.0. Hey, remember when there were bugs?
I will say, though, the hanger queues have been obviously difficult to deal with for some. I haven't had to deal too much with the queues. I'm usually first or second. I haven't had to sit there and wait, but I did have one gripe about the way it's been running. Is another thing that this event allowed me to do for the first time was Hull C hauling. I have a Hull C. I've had it for a while. I've never used it, and I'm like, you know what? 2,992 SCU. I can get that done with my Hull C. I'm gonna see what this is all about. So I got all my binds set up, and I picked up all the commodities, which worked well. And but dropping off at Levski and your little blue square of moving cargo was hit or miss. And I understand it's been hit or miss since the Hull C came out. It is what it is. But I was on the last. It was the last mission I needed to complete the hauling one. and I'm like, I'm just gonna get the whole sea and I'm gonna crush it and get it done. And I get there and the blue square wasn't working, and I'm like, dang it. So I pull around to the the external cargo elevator, and was offloading. I got about halfway through the 2,992 SCU, and I turn around and Levski stored my ship.
Oof, dude.
And I was like, no.
Yeah, man. See, it's just, and those are the things that make people literally quit.
I was close. I basically I changed to my Hermes and did a couple smaller ones to wrap it up and get my 100% on that. But I definitely needed to back out of the game for about 40 minutes and have a beer and take a breath.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's good. That's good. Hey, I was just thinking of something. We were talking about limiting group sizes, and I'm thinking maybe when I think about not hard limits, we actually have those probability volumes, right? And we have people grouping up in group sizes that the game can see. A lot of people will say this is the kind of way you can balance any sort of event. You read how many people are in the group, you spawn the number of enemies to fight it. We've got the probability volumes where they already are supposedly supposed to be preparing to read this kind of stuff. What if they were just like, hey, you got an Idris full of like cargo and stuff, we're gonna spawn something that can take that on. And then people maybe start thinking about going in such big sizes because they don't want to come up against that big of a deterrent or a NPC pirate. What do you think of that kind of a opposition to group sizes?
I think that's a pretty good idea. I mean, it's such a difficult thing for their goal of what they want Star Citizen to be, where it's just this massive open sandbox. It leaves events like this open to exactly what we're struggling with now, and it's such a complicated issue to kind of figure out how to limit the party sizes and the reward structure. I think that's, and like I said, everybody so far that has hopped in and chatted with you today, everybody brings up some pretty good ideas that I like. I think that could be something that they could work with. But again, it's like, is there any one real answer to the issue that they're having with this? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. I misspoke. I said limit group sizes. I'll say I don't mean limit group sizes, so we'll take that out of the entire conversation. I meant to scale with the size of groups. But yeah, I think that there's two sides of it. There's a sandbox, and then there's the sort of contracts that they're planning on doing, and they have to approach them in different ways because people interact with them in different ways.
Exactly. It's like, obviously people are going to, the prime example, the issue we're having is some people are like, yeah, I want to jump in with 70 people and get it done in like 2 days. And then you have the people who are like, I'm going to not hop in a giant group and take the entire time to do it. So there's just so many different ways to play such a sandboxy kind of game. It makes it difficult for CIG, and I don't envy them on having to come up with solutions.
They love putting themselves in tough spots.
Yeah, but it's so worth it. I love this game so much. I've been playing it for years now, and nothing compares, to be honest.
Same. All right, man. Thank you do you have anything else you wanted to share about the event?
No, I basically got everything out there, and including them storing my ship in the middle of that was oof. Boy, I'll tell you, you get a little warm under the collar for that one. But
yeah, it's always a fun one.
I appreciate you having me in, and I'm going to enjoy watching the rest of the stream.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for joining the discussion, man. Captain Kaladin, though, has joined us to talk about clearing the air. Thoughts on 4.6. Looking forward to hearing your opinions, my friend. Thanks for joining. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good, dude. I'm good.
Yeah. Cliche, long-time listener, first-time caller. So I took a break for about half a year in 25 for, some various reasons. So I missed Resource Rush. So I'm kind of coming at this a little fresh with some of these activities, I feel like there's some good things in this and some places to learn. And, like we've been saying, it's always important to keep in mind this is an alpha. This is a good place for them to gather data and figure out what to do next and grow from. I love seeing the increased activity in chat with people working together, of orgs working together, and even just the activity at like the hubs and landing areas, even if it is a queue of 10 people to land. It is fun to see a bunch of ships flying around taking care of these missions.
Yeah, it really is. And it's cool to just see, like, I'm even on this page right now, people just talking about the different ways that they're completing these contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Like was mentioned in chat, I've been talking about the extremes this whole time because that's what we're targeting. We're looking for the cool ways this can change, but there are plenty of people who are doing it in realistic ways, and it's awesome to see actual different methodologies coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked with my org a little bit, and I've worked solo a little bit, just trying to get the feel for the thing. And it got me thinking, as you were talking earlier about what other things can we do to make this last longer. I don't remember the name of the event, but it was for the F7A Mark II, right? Where there was multiple events over a couple weeks, and each one kind of unlocked the next stage.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a great solution for this sort of event.
Yeah, I like progressive missions like that.
Because you think, in lore, just delivering a bunch of medicine is not going to solve the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, we just drop the medicine off and then we leave. Like, you guys are good. Good luck.
This is a long-term problem. And I think they're going to tie it in, tie it in with what the UEE is coming in to do, and
you think it's part of the storyline?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so, in some way. I wish they had made. I wish they would tie it in more. I think that'd make it interesting. Another thought I had would be, this tracking global progress for when players, as all the players hit the milestones. What if when the players hit a global milestone, like once we hit 1 billion or 5 billion, it unlocked new objectives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's kind of like, I think that they sort of get there with the rewards. So even if you're going to extend the effort needed for an event like this, or you're going to say, instead of completing it all in one day, the most talented individuals still need like 6 days to complete it. And then people come in late, so they don't have enough time to complete it. It is still good to offer milestones, rewards, challenges, narrative pieces, like things that make it feel like you are getting something out of the experience without having to fully complete the event. I think they do good with that with the rewards, but what you're saying would also help with like changing up the type of mission you're doing, or the people you're talking to, or the locations you're going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you?
I think another. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, what do you think of the issues this points out when it comes to like the hangars? Do you think that they need to expand spaceports?
I think so. I think it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, especially as they increase server size. We're never going to get, I think, to all players on one server. But we're going to get to larger and larger servers. So we're going to need bigger spaceports, because hanging around for 900 seconds to get your hangar open is not fun gameplay. And if you've got a load of raw quant, that's not going to be a good ending for you.
That's fair. Yeah. What's the main way you've been experiencing this event so far?
I've been doing some hauling. I upgraded my C1 to a Zeus CL. I wanted to give a new ship a try, see if I liked it. That was a lot of fun, stacking cryopods and flying that back across. I did some resource gathering in my prospector. and turned those in. That was a lot of fun working with the group the org to turn those in. I got lucky that it was pirated a couple of times. Just, I'm gonna say pirated is more grief. Nothing in chat, just shooting me down for no reason.
They didn't steal anything?
No, as far as I know, no. I was glad that was a cargo mission I had and not a moving my resources around. They were between the Stanton Gateway and Levski, so they were just griefing. The argument can be made that's piracy or griefing, however you want to look at it. But
I think there's got to be some kind of objective outside of just killing a person, or else you're a murderer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
awful.
And if it was frustrating when I had spent so long picking up those missions in Stanton, loading those boxes, and delivering it, it would have been even more frustrating if it was materials I had gathered, refined, and then was delivering.
Yeah.
Because that's a bigger time investment.
What did you like more?
I really enjoy mining, so I like the resource gathering aspect of this. I think that that is really making this a longer event and makes me feel more invested in what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that aspect of it. I actually haven't gotten to do it much. I think I might go spend my Wednesday doing that on stream, but it's fun to feel like the collection feels the most like you're doing something other people aren't, even if they are doing the exact same thing. It's not like you're taking it, like you're not reading some script on a page and following instructions. It feels like you're blazing a trail, basically.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to tie in well to the mining and salvage missions that we're getting coming up too.
Yeah. What do you do when something like this comes up? This might be a little different from everything else, but I think it's pretty similar to Resource Rush. When these kinds of events come up, do they change the way you play the game, or do you just play the way you normally play, but inside of the event's contracts?
I think there's enough open that everybody can kind of find the things they want to do. I know I have focused, just looking at resource gathering, I focus more on looking for like Borés and Laranite and stuff like that, so that changed the way I mine.
Mm-hmm.
It was very funny to me to pass up good quant rocks and go and looking. It's like, no, I'm looking for Borés. So there's a little bit of change that way. Doing a little more combat missions, grouping up with people to, man a Perseus or something like that and do the combat missions. That's still fun. I enjoy that anyways. I wouldn't say that's the main thing I do, but it is fun to do that. But you can find those combat missions kind of in the game already. So I think this is just a different flavor of what we already have. The resource gathering, again, I think is that taste of what we're going to get when we get the mining contract. So I think we'll have that in a little bit too.
Yeah, I hope that. Sucks that they had to delay that a couple of weeks, but I am glad it's finally happening.
I don't mind them delaying it because we've got other stuff to do right now. And I kind of wondered if it was a delay on purpose. It's like we've got this ready to go out. Do we... And I don't know if it was ready to go out, I guess. Do we push it now, or do we want to focus on Levski? How do we want to balance this? What's the delivery schedule?
Yeah. Well, as far as this event goes, any major, actually, where do you rank it? 2 questions. Where do you rank it compared to other events, but also any major things that you would change about it?
I would say out of the events that I've done, this is probably my favorite. A lot of the previous ones have been combat focused. And so like I said, I missed Resource Rush while I wasn't playing, so I'm sure that would color my opinion a little differently. So I'm kind of joining when I played. I started playing in 2022. I'm an original backer, a Kickstarter backer, and
I see.
Picked it up again in 2022. and then took a break last year for about 6 months, and I missed Resource Rush. Most of the missions before then, most of the events seem to be more combat related. So I'm excited that this is a little different that way.
Yeah, they it took them a while to get like proper cargo and salvage gameplay going.
Yeah,
but they are more diverse now. How about for what we have at Future? 4.7, the possible Rock Cracker additions, or anything else that they've talked about? Anything interesting to you?
Yeah, I'm interested in crafting. I think that's going to really change a lot of the game. Rock Cracker, I think, will be a lot of fun. I haven't done Hathor with a group yet, so I'm assuming it's going to be a similar experience that I haven't done yet, I guess. But to tie in what little bit I know, at least, it seems like it will be more cargo related than necessarily combat related than Hathor. Is that kind of what we're expecting? Mining of some sort?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of setup,
like
right?
The handheld mining, I guess.
I think there is going to be less combat. But the setup's sort of the same. You go there, you secure the area, you solve some puzzles, and then you extract the goods. This one does seem like it'll be, at the very least, like you're not landing on the ground, so you're not as like exposed, right? But I do think there's going to be a little bit of like some level of combat. It does sound like what they're doing with this that's different is like you can get 2 different contracts for the Rock Cracker stations. One would be quote unquote public, where anybody could go, and the other one would be quote unquote private, where only you get the location and you pay extra for that. So that might help.
Okay. Yeah.
I still think there will be NPC, combat to deal with.
That sounds interesting. I like the idea of the private one. You know, I mean, they're both good, and I'm assuming the public one, for a balanced reason, I would guess it would probably pay out more or have better rewards because you run the risk of running into other players. You're competing with other players for it.
It's gotta.
But the idea of being able to lock it down just for yourself or your org with the private ones makes a lot of sense too, I think.
Yeah. I'm excited for it long term because it feels to me like they made Hathor. It was a solid learning opportunity for them. It was their first time ever putting a resource sink behind a dynamic event. And now that they've learned how to do it, I think they're putting a ton of resource sinks behind it with the expectation that we'll need it for crafting. So I'm really excited to see what happens with these stations long term after the buzz has worn off and they are used properly as occasional resource sinks for people, rather than just like a constant flood of new players interested in trying it out.
Yeah.
Anything else that you're excited for?
Yeah, one thing I keep thinking about, and I see, they pop up the on the loading screen. They've got the FTL communication stuff going on in the background. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's think this. That's got to be a way for better player communication or a player market, right? Because we've got to have something like that for crafting. Because you've got to be able to trade and sell your goods. So there's got to be some sort of player market. UEX is great, but they want to have it in game for them.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't know how far away that is.
That's setting that up. Yeah, I don't either, but I feel like that's where we're going.
Definitely. I feel the same way. All right, man. Thank you so much, Kaladin, for sharing your thoughts on the event today and for how things are going at the moment. I hope you enjoy the rest of 4.6 and your week. So here's another thread that I came across on Spectrum. Another person saying, best Star Citizen event yet. Alive, social, PvE focused, and simply brilliant. They said, this event is genuinely excellent. It brings together so many positive design choices. First, the most important thing, I've never felt such a lively, living world in Star Citizen. People met up in groups and actually worked together, and it was wonderfully easy to find a group. Were there players who tried to take advantage of it? Sure, but compared to the overall experience, it was completely negligible. To satisfy the FOMO part of my brain, I initially focused on finishing the event, but I'll definitely keep going simply to support other players. It's primarily a PvE event. Fantastic. It's also an event where different playstyles are viable. Combat, mining, cargo, it's all there. And thanks to the group aspect, everyone can focus on what they personally enjoy most. And then he said the social side is strongly encouraged without being forced. I can do the whole thing as a solo player or as a part of a group and both feel good. This is good stuff to see. Somebody had posted, I thought, that people were loving it because the rewards aren't split. And I don't think that's the entire reason why people are loving it, but I do think there are a lot of variables that make people love this that could very much be going the wrong way. For instance, calling it a PvE event is really just down to the whether or not people are getting attacked more. If there were more pirates that were stalking this event, people would not call it mostly PvE. They'd call it mostly PvP because it's we decide. the player community decides whether or not you experience more PvE or more PvP. And we're in a situation where people who want to attack the event can't because the groups are so big, and so there's less player interaction and it feels better. That's a side effect, though, of them making an event where people want to work together. The problem that somebody I thought had called up was this, that like, why are people choosing to work together? It's great that CIG has made an event where people are celebrating and working together and getting in groups and all this stuff, but I do think it is reasonable, or it's important to understand why. Because Star Citizen needs to encourage people to work together because it's fun and rewarding, not just because it's the easiest way to do something. Because it won't always be the easiest way, but there will still be reasons for it to be the way that the game wants something to be done. I'd like to thank everybody, all of the guests who decided to come and chat with us about what we discussed. Obviously, there's plenty to say about this event, and we're only like 6 days into it. So we will come back more towards the end of it in March and have another talk. Some final thoughts about what happened that was good in this event, how it could improve, and what we could do better next time. But I think there is a lot to learn from these events, even if it's not always something that's going to change right away. Understanding the way and reasons that people play this game, I think, will allow us to all kill them easier. I don't know. I just hope you learned something. Anyways, whatever.